Life in remote rural villages of Africa has always worn a deceptively simple facade, yet beneath the ordinary daily routines lie rigid age-old traditional norms that bind every resident tightly. Unlike modern cities that embrace tolerance and inclusivity, these rural communities hold uncompromising moral codes where youthful mistakes, especially those related to love and premarital relationships, are rarely forgiven or overlooked. This harsh cultural backdrop sets the stage for a heartbreaking yet redemptive life story, one that perfectly exposes the gap between superficial glamour and genuine inner goodness, and teaches us the true definition of unconditional love. Long ago, a young village girl named Zikora fell deeply in love with a local boy called Emeka. In her youthful innocence, she wholeheartedly believed their love would stand the test of time, and she even dreamed of the day she would become Emeka's wife, building a warm family with the man she loved. But life's cruelty struck far sooner than she expected. Zikora accidentally got pregnant at a young age, a circumstance that would be barely judged in modern society, but was a devastating scandal in her traditional village. Panicked and terrified, she mustered up all her courage to tell Emeka the news, hoping for his comfort, responsibility and shared support through the tough days ahead. However, Emeka's reaction shattered every bit of her fantasy. Overwhelmed by fear of taking on paternal responsibilities and facing village criticism, he refused to accept the truth outright. He repeatedly begged Zikora for mercy, claiming he was utterly unprepared to be a father, that he could not handle the pressure of raising a child, and even coldly declared that he wanted no connection with Zikora or their unborn baby. Faced with her lover's cowardice and betrayal, Zikora was plunged into despair. What made her situation even more desperate was the attitude of her own family. Her parents were consumed by shame, believing her unwed pregnancy had tarnished the family's reputation in the village. In a ruthless decision driven by outdated traditional pride, they disowned her completely, leaving the young, pregnant girl homeless and helpless, with nowhere to turn. Left alone and abandoned by both her lover and her family, Zikora had no choice but to endure the hardships of pregnancy and childbirth entirely on her own. She struggled through every difficult moment, working tirelessly to sustain herself and her unborn child, refusing to give up even when life pushed her to the brink. After enduring immense physical and mental pain, she gave birth to a healthy baby boy whom she named Chinedu. From that day forward, mother and son became each other's only family, relying solely on one another to survive in a world that had shown them nothing but cruelty and rejection. Zikora dedicated every ounce of her energy to raising her son, sacrificing her youth, comfort, and dreams just to give Chinedu a chance at a better life than her own. Growing up in poverty and isolation, Chinedu witnessed his mother's endless struggles and selfless devotion every single day. This childhood experience planted two profound seeds in his heart: deep gratitude for his mother, and a relentless drive to change their fate. He studied diligently, worked harder than anyone around him, and never complained about his tough life. As he grew into adulthood, his efforts finally paid off. Armed with outstanding ability and a resilient spirit forged by hardship, Chinedu founded Evergreen Tech, a thriving tech enterprise that quickly gained traction in the industry. In the blink of an eye, the poor village boy transformed into a wealthy, successful entrepreneur, escaping the cycle of poverty that had trapped his family for generations. With fame and fortune came new encounters and romantic possibilities. Chinedu soon met Cynthia, a fashionable, confident, and sophisticated fashion designer. Cynthia's elegant appearance, polished temperament, and smooth conversation easily captured Chinedu's attention. Having endured a harsh and plain childhood, he was naturally drawn to this glamorous, refined woman, convinced she was the perfect partner to walk alongside him for life. The two quickly fell into a relationship, and Chinedu, utterly smitten, proposed marriage to Cynthia without hesitation. Overjoyed, he shared the good news with his mother, eager to welcome his fiancée into their new prosperous life. Yet Zikora, who had weathered decades of life's storms and seen the darkest sides of human nature, remained unusually calm and cautious. She knew better than to judge a person solely by their appearance, temperament, or sweet words. Having been betrayed by superficial love, and abandoned for being vulnerable in her youth, she understood a harsh truth: elegance and sophistication are external ornaments, not reflections of a person's inner character. Deep down, she sensed something unnatural about Cynthia. Her excessive pursuit of luxury, her dismissive attitude toward ordinary people, and her overly perfect performance in front of Chinedu all hinted at a hidden selfish agenda. Worried that her son, who had worked so hard to build his success, would fall victim to a greedy, insincere partner, Zikora devised a clever but thoughtful plan to test Cynthia's true nature. To uncover Cynthia's real character beyond her glamorous facade, Zikora decided to disguise herself as a poor, ordinary maid named Nana and move into Chinedu's luxury mansion. She firmly believed that the way a person treats those they perceive as inferior, powerless, and insignificant reveals their most authentic self. True kindness and compassion can never be faked, while greed and arrogance will always surface when there is no need to pretend. Following his mother's wishes out of respect and trust, Chinedu cooperated with the disguise, introducing Zikora as the new household maid and asking everyone to treat her as a regular staff member. Shortly after, Cynthia moved into the mansion to prepare for the upcoming wedding, and her true colors began to show little by little. From the very first day, she treated the disguised Zikora with extreme arrogance and disdain. She ordered her around rudely, complained endlessly about trivial things like cold food and unclean glassware, and even mocked Zikora's age, poverty, and humble status without mercy. She made contemptuous remarks about ordinary working people, claiming that kindness toward the poor would only make them overstep boundaries, showing zero compassion or basic respect for others. During her stay in the mansion, Cynthia's worst secrets were gradually exposed. By chance, Zikora overheard a shocking phone call that completely shattered her impression of Cynthia. It turned out that Cynthia had never truly loved Chinedu. She only viewed him as her golden ticket to wealth, status, and a luxurious life. Terrified of losing her wealthy fiancé and the comfortable life he provided, she had plotted a despicable scheme. Since she and Chinedu had never been intimate due to Chinedu's insistence on waiting until marriage, she planned to drug Chinedu secretly, fabricate an intimate relationship, and even fake a pregnancy to trap him permanently by force. This malicious, manipulative plan fully exposed her extreme selfishness, greed, and moral corruption. Just as Cynthia was about to execute her cruel plan, Zikora stepped forward to stop her in time. At this critical moment, she dropped her maid disguise completely and revealed her true identity as Chinedu's mother. Faced with irrefutable evidence of her manipulation, lies, and vicious plotting, Cynthia panicked and tried to excuse her actions as trivial jokes between friends. But Chinedu, who had witnessed everything clearly, was completely sobered up. He finally realized that all of Cynthia's sweet words, gentle gestures, and affectionate displays were nothing but fake performances for his wealth and status. Heartbroken but resolute, Chinedu firmly ended their engagement and drove Cynthia out of his life for good. After the painful breakup, Chinedu fell into a deep emotional crisis. He was plagued by intense self-doubt, unable to distinguish who truly loved him for his character and who only coveted his money and success. The betrayal left him wary of all romantic relationships, making him lose faith in sincere love entirely. Seeing her son's pain, Zikora guided him with her life wisdom, reminding him that true love is never manifested in glamorous appearances or sweet promises, but in silent companionship and selfless dedication when people have nothing to gain. Zikora pointed out a person who had always been by Chinedu's side quietly: Blessing, his company's secretary. Unlike the flashy Cynthia, Blessing is simple, humble, hardworking, and infinitely kind. Long before she knew Chinedu's wealth and status, she had bravely stepped forward to rescue Zikora when she was harassed by thugs on the street, helping a stranger selflessly without asking for any reward. At work, she is meticulous, responsible, and never seeks fame or favor. always treating everyone around her with sincerity and respect, regardless of their social status. Still trapped in the shadow of betrayal, Chinedu could not fully trust Blessing's sincerity. To completely verify whether Blessing loved him for who he was or for his achievements and wealth, he decided to launch another ultimate test. He faked a total collapse of his tech company, claimed he had lost all his assets, had his mansion seized by the bank, and moved into a small, shabby apartment, pretending to be a penniless, failed entrepreneur with nothing left. The test instantly stripped away all false relationships around him. All the friends who had once flocked to him for his wealth and influence abandoned him without hesitation, cutting off all contact completely when he lost his status and money. Yet Blessing's response was utterly different. She never looked down on his downfall, never complained about his lost wealth, and never chose to leave. Instead, she took the initiative to visit his small apartment repeatedly, bringing him warm meals and daily supplies, comforting him through his lowest moments, and encouraging him to rebuild his career with his own abilities and experience. Most touching of all, Blessing finally confessed her long-hidden feelings. She told Chinedu that she had loved him from the very first day they met, not because of his money, company, or social status, but because of his kindness, sense of responsibility, resilience, and noble character. She had always admired him silently, never daring to express her love simply because she thought she was not good enough for his glamorous world. In his darkest, poorest, and most desperate moment, she chose to stay by his side unconditionally, proving that her love was pure, selfless, and untainted by material desires. Moved and deeply touched by Blessing's sincerity, Chinedu finally let go of all his doubts. He confessed the truth to her. His bankruptcy and downfall were all a deliberate test, born from the fear of being betrayed again. Though Blessing felt hurt by his distrust, she chose to forgive him because she understood the pain his previous heartbreak had brought him. After resolving all misunderstandings, Chinedu officially introduced Blessing to his mother, Zikora. Having witnessed Blessing's bravery, kindness, and selflessness countless times, Zikora wholeheartedly approved of this sincere and noble girl. She knew Blessing was exactly the right person who could accompany her son for a lifetime, loving him in prosperity and standing by him in adversity. With all lies and tests ended, Chinedu proposed to Blessing sincerely. This time, the proposal was built on truth, trust, and pure love, without any material temptation or deliberate disguise. Blessing agreed happily, and the two embarked on a sincere and solid romantic relationship, finally ushering in a happy ending after countless trials and tribulations. This profound life story carries far more emotional weight than a simple romantic drama. It tells us a timeless truth: external glamour, wealth, and elegant temperament are never the criteria for judging a good partner. True love is not the flattery and companionship in prosperous times, but the persistence and warmth in difficult times. A person's true value lies in their inner kindness, compassion, and loyalty, not their superficial conditions. Zikora's painful youth, Emeka's cowardly evasion, Cynthia's greedy hypocrisy, and Blessing's pure sincerity together weave a life lesson for all of us. In a world full of material temptation, the most precious thing we can pursue is always a sincere heart that loves us for who we are, not for what we own.